Hi, I'm Mark, and this is the Emotional Alchemist. Spiritual awakening for me is coming into line with and letting go of those things which are no longer serving me. And part of that is relationships ending and changing, and also heartbreak. A year ago, I split up with my wife, and it's just been the most excruciating experience. So, actually, this is a video on that heartbreak. Three ways. First of all, is just to allow yourself to let the feelings happen. And that is so much easier than to say than actually do. Because for me, when all of those feelings come up, they're so painful. Because it's not just about, especially with spiritual awakening, it's not just about uh, the feelings of the relationship. It's all of the other relationships previously, not just with romantic people, but all of those hurts in my life, which I've been processing at the same time, and it just kind of cascades. And I found it so difficult to just let myself be. And I'm a recovering addict, so I don't do drugs, I don't drink, I don't do any of the kind of mood altering stuff. And going through what was a grieving process was really difficult. There was a 5 stages of grieving. There was a psychiatrist who said that there's 5 stages. It's denial, this isn't happening, can't be happening. Second is anger, this isn't fair. Third is bargaining. Okay, maybe if I do this, then whatever, and I'll feel better. And then fourth is depression, that sadness, that just unbearable at times. And then the last is acceptance. What actually happens in the grieving process, certainly this is for me in my experience, is I cycle through it. So and then back to the beginning, and then back to the end, and it's kind of so for me it was, no, it can't be over, or maybe if I do this, or really angry again. And I was told that grief is like dancing with a gorilla. The gorilla decides when it's over, and new things will come up. And it's been a year for me, and I've done a lot of stuff. And it's and then simple thing. Last Friday, I was diagnosed with autoimmune disease, and just I had feelings about that. But then they again brought up the feelings of the relationship, and it's just about processing, but allowing myself to feel the feelings as well, which is really difficult, especially for a recovering addict. Second of all, it's not blaming the other person. And usually in relationships, there is both people have a part to play in the breakdown of the relationship. And the more I concentrate on the other person, the less healing I do for myself. And that's so hard to do with any relationship in life, any kind of friendship or whatever it is. It's so difficult to admit to myself that it's not about the other person, certainly if they're not in my life anymore. It's why am I still angry about whatever it was 30 years ago when someone did something, and I haven't seen that person in 20 years, 25 years? It's because there's still an emotion attached to it. That's the resentment, the resentment, the refeeling of it. The way I get through these things is to actually process what's the real reason behind why I'm feeling that. Why am I angry towards that person? Well, it's actually because maybe I've abandoned myself at some point, or I haven't met my own need, and certainly in heartbreak, it's really difficult not to blame the other person, especially when there's stuff going on, and like getting divorced and all sorts of stuff. That's a really uncomfortable process. And the more I can invest in what does this, what does this trigger in me, then by sitting with those feelings, maybe it's a feeling of shame or anger, or maybe it's feelings of something being unfair. If I can sit with that feeling, then I can get through it, and then I'll be back in it. I'll watch this video again. I sometimes watch my videos that where I process stuff, because I go back to the same thing, and it's still the same feelings. And I'm actually sitting here this evening making this stuff because it's all come back up again. Number 3 is don't get into another relationship. For me, a really good friend of mine at the beginning of this year said, I can't tell you that you shouldn't get into another relationship, but you know it's a good idea not to get into one. And it's because I always remember couples counselor saying, any baggage that you don't process from this relationship, you will carry to the next relationship. And for me, I know that's true because any baggage I carry is going to work its way into any friendship or relationship, and actually when it's romantic stuff, even more so. So for me this year, and not having a relationship has been amazingly beneficial because it's given me I've given myself time to process feelings which are of the, that romantic stuff, the love stuff, the kind of, and heartbreak brings up all of that. It's a really limbic system core hurt, and by allowing myself to just feel it without the complications of another relationship, and kind of potentially losing part of me. When you get into the relationship or into a relationship, it's you kind of you get that feeling, and then it gets confusing. The more I've processed a lot this year, and that's really going to hold me in good stead for the next relationship. For that, yeah, it's really hard stuff. For me, those 3 things really have made a difference. It's not that it's not painful. It's amazingly painful. But spiritual awakening, for me, it's not supposed to be comfortable. It's a real making. The pain shows me the direction where my peace is. Because if I'm in this much pain from whatever it is right now, then I know that I don't want it again. By taking note of that, then I can think to myself, okay, fantastic. What can I learn from this pain? If you found this video helpful and want to see more, then the subscribe button is here. And if you think someone else would benefit from it, please share it. Thanks for watching.